Do you ever feel like your partner just doesn't get it? Like they keep stepping on your toes. Maybe not literally, but in ways that leave you feeling unheard, unsupported, or just plain frustrated. You try dropping hints, having the talk, maybe even biting your tongue, hoping things would just magically change. Have you ever found yourself putting up with the same shit on a different day? We all have things we tolerate, things we're dissatisfied with. But here's the truth: change doesn't just happen by accident. Wouldn't it be useful to have a tool that we can utilize to find a solution to almost any problem? Well, welcome to Mars Venus Coaching. I am your gender intelligence coach, Clay Smith. In today's episode, I want to share with you a formula for change. When you find yourself dissatisfied with anything in your life, by identifying what you're dissatisfied about, gaining clarity on what it is that you want instead, and formulating that first step, you can then push past the resistance towards creating lasting change. I'm going to provide you with practical steps that you can take to transform that source of dissatisfaction into a breakthrough. Today, I want to distinguish the formula for change in everyday regular settings like goals or business, along with how to apply this formula in a context with a relationship with a significant other. Through considering some common applications of where this formula can be best used, I hope to leave you with productive phrases that you can utilize to transform dissatisfaction into feeling heard and understood. So grab those calculators and let's break this formula down. The formula for change goes as follows: D times V plus F greater than R. What that breaks down to is dissatisfaction times vision plus the first step greater than resistance. So let's take each one of those and break those down to get some clarity on what this formula for change is. D, that's the dissatisfaction. The thing that you're dissatisfied in a particular situation or circumstance. What is pissing you off the most about the situation? Or who is pissing you off the most? What's not working in this aspect? Very often, the things we want to change are the things that we're dissatisfied with. And it's imperative to identify that dissatisfaction so then we can move to focusing on the vision. You see, in your brain is a reticular activating system. This is the part of the brain that allows you to find what you're looking for. If I gave you a homework assignment to look for all the red trucks out there, to write down the make, the model, the license plate numbers, you would come back with your report saying, wow, they are everywhere. Everyone's driving a red truck. It's the newest fad. Because you've trained your brain to find all of those red trucks. The problem with the dissatisfaction is we trained our brain to look for all of the ways we're dissatisfied in life. And our brain says, no problem, let me point out everything that you need to be dissatisfied with. Well, what you focus on, you're going to create more of. Now that we know what the dissatisfaction is, we need to flip it over to the V, which is the vision. In that situation, expressing dissatisfaction, what do you want instead? What does it look like? What would it feel like? What does it smell, taste, or sound like? How would you feel if you accomplished that goal? How would you know when you achieved your vision? How would you measure or track your progress. Half the battle is won just from shifting your focus off of what you don't want onto seeing what you want instead. Now let's talk about the F in this formula, which is the first step. And only the first step. Don't think about the whole process. What would it take to get the ball rolling, to break the ice towards attaining that vision? Greater than R? R stands for the resistance. That's your comfort zone calling you back on the couch. They say, better the devil you know than the devil you don't. You see, we're creatures of habit. I bet the route you've been taking to work for the last 20 years is probably the same route. I doubt you want to get out of your comfort zone and try a new and different way to work every single day. We know what works, we stick in our lane, and we don't change things up. Resistance will come as we're changing our life. So if you experience a little bit of resistance along this formula, that could be a good sign. Now that we know what this formula for change is, I want to apply this formula in 3 specific contexts. We'll take a health and fitness approach. We'll take a business career approach. And finally, I want to apply this formula for change in a relationship with a significant other. So let's start with the health piece first. You just got home from your annual checkup at the doctor's. We know what the dissatisfaction is. You stepped on the scale, and guess what? You're overweight. The doctor read your blood tests, and guess what? You have pre-diabetes. This is not good. Your dissatisfaction is the weight. You have low energy. Your clothes are a little too tight. You're huffing and puffing and just getting up and down the stairs. Those aren't good things. Dissatisfactions. Okay, we need to flip the D over to the V. In that situation with your health, what would you want instead? Do you want to be more active and fit? Would you like to be able to just run up your stairs and not be huffing and puffing? Would you like your clothes to fit again? Would you want to improve your self-confidence or self-esteem? Do you want to just be healthy? Be able to play on the floor with your grandkids? Now that we have clarity of what it is that we want, we can go to the first step. And it's going to be something that's small, simple, easy. A small win towards your self-efficacy. Something that helps you break that ice. So maybe some examples would be just research a gym in your neighborhood. Look into some healthy recipes that maybe could help replace some of that fast food addiction that you have. Just buy a water bottle. Something small and easy. And then along that first step is going to come the R, which is resistance. That's our comfort zone. He's going to say, hey, wait a minute, there's fear of the unknown. A lot of times the thing that holds us back is the perfectionism tendencies. Thinking that we have to have all 89 steps mapped out. We have to know the clear, exact, detailed plan of what our diet's going to be. We have to have our workout regimen and routine all scheduled for the next year. We can't just start our diet on a Thursday. It has to be on the first Monday of the month. May as well wait until the end of the year. Let's wait till January 1st. Forget it. We're not even going to go with it. That's where resistance comes in. And if you feel a little resistance along the way, remember, it's a sign that you're growing. Let's apply this formula in business. Dissatisfaction might be just a lack of sales. Your clientele's kind of waning. Maybe your numbers or conversion rates are lower than you would hope. You got to get clarity on your V, which is your vision. Do you want to see more customers, higher sales, bigger profit margins, lower turnover rates, whatever it is that you want? That's going to lead you to the first step. Maybe it's just to sign up for a business course. Brainstorm a list of ideas to help improve your sales. creating an infrastructure for your success. The resistance comes in and says, hey, wait a minute, we've never done this before. I don't know how to market. I don't want to make cold calls. But again, if you're feeling a little resistance and applying this formula for change, good sign. Means you're getting out of your comfort zone. Okay, now here's our biggest application for the formula for change, and this is in a relationship with a significant other. So I want to give you an analogy. Anytime there's a big clash in a relationship, an argument, a fight, something that went happen, something that created disconnect on your part, imagine there's like a car wreck, right? I've got my side of the street and their side of the street. So if we want to get this car wreck removed, the thing we're dissatisfied with, I'm going to need to work on it. I'm going to need that person to clean up their side of the street so we can, create healthy lines, open lines of communication again. So we're going to take an example of someone who complains that their partner doesn't show them love or affection. Okay? That's their dissatisfaction. So they've got to clean up their side of the street first. Identify the dissatisfaction. Oftentimes we kind of talk in more vague, nebulous terms. We always say always and nevers and things like that. So we really got to get clear on identifying what it is that we're dissatisfied with. You say he doesn't show you love or affection? How so? No hugs? Are you not getting kisses? You don't get those couch cuddles anymore? He's not giving you foot massages or back rubs? Maybe he's just kind of appearing cold and distant. What's going on? Then, once we have identified what it is you're dissatisfied with, we've got to question your stories. This process comes from Byron Katie's book, A Mind at Home with Self. She talks about how there's limiting beliefs that comes up out of the things we're dissatisfied with. You see, as human beings, we're meaning-making machines. We take 2 or 3 facts and combine a whole story and create a bunch of meaning out of nothing. Then we watch this movie and it affects how we feel, and then we get depressed and been out of shape, and then that affects how we treat other people, and it's just a big mess. So she asks us to question those stories. The original problem is that, he doesn't show you love or affection, but maybe you created all these narratives to say, he doesn't love me, I'm not a priority of his, he isn't attracted to me anymore, I don't even know if we've probably fallen out of love. We've got to question each one of those stories. We could identify these narratives, or what Katie calls fake news. We use her 4-step process called the work. So I just want to take one example. The D is that he doesn't show me love or affection. But the story she created from the dissatisfaction might be, he doesn't make me a priority. Okay, question number 1. Is it true? And of course, she's going to come at me and say, of course, yes, I have all the evidence. Here's my log of all the red trucks that I've been looking for this whole week. But this work is a very contemplative process. That's where step 2 comes into play, which is, can you absolutely know that it's true? He doesn't make you a priority. Can you really absolutely know that? And then you just got to sit with it and go, well, maybe I can't 100% absolutely know that he doesn't make me a priority. He has been picking up some Saturday shifts lately to save up for our trip to Cabo in the fall. He does feed my cats, and he knows that those are important to me. He spends time with me. He comes home at night. So I guess I can't absolutely know that he doesn't make me a priority. Now we go to step 3, which is, how do you react? Or what happens inside when you believe that thought, that story? Believing that he doesn't make me a priority might make me sad, depresses me. I get disconnected. I look for all the little ways that he doesn't make me a priority. Maybe he comes home and is really tired and goes right to bed, and it's just like proof. I knew it. Doesn't make me a priority. How do I treat that person when I believe that they don't make me a priority? Well, I certainly don't want to make them a priority. I'm not going to make his favorite dinner anymore. I'm going to disconnect myself from that person. So Katie's fourth question that she recommends during the work, she asks, who would you be without that thought? So if I didn't have that concept that this person doesn't make me a priority, well, seeing that when I did believe it, man, it stressed me out, created all kinds of tension, disconnected our relationship. So without that belief, I guess I would be connected to them. I wouldn't look for all the ways that they don't make me a priority. And she says that seeing that a belief we're imposing on a person or situation may not be 100% true, understanding its impact on your feelings, your thoughts, the way you unintentionally treat that other person, and gaining clarity on how you would feel differently and react differently if you didn't believe that narrative, this is going to help release those negative emotions that might be keeping you from experiencing that breakthrough. So, questioning those thoughts, the next step is handling your emotions. If you're upset for over 20 minutes over the situation that you're dissatisfied with, we need to process those feelings on paper. Now, I'm not going to go into detail about the feeling letter process, which is a process, a journaling process on how to put your emotions on paper instead of saying mean and hurtful things to your partner when the emotions are high. Go see my other episode on the feeling letter technique. But processing your feelings on paper so that when you're ready to communicate to your partner something that you want or need, this is critical for eliminating their fight or flight defense mode. You see, when we come to our partner with anger or stress or something we're really dissatisfied with them, I don't know about you, but if my wife comes to me and she's very angry at me and it's all my fault, that's going to raise my cortisol levels. As a human being, when our cortisol levels are raised, that blood stops going to the prefrontal cortex in the brain, the part of your brain that separates you from being a monkey, goes to the back part of the brain, which is your reptilian center. That's going to put you in fight or flight mode. So if, as a partner, we're communicating the things we're dissatisfied with, our partner's just going to get defensive and fight, or they're going to flight and check out. Neither is going to be helpful to getting you what you want. So we've got to identify your vision. Really get specific. We've talked about what you don't want. We've separated out the narratives and the stories that we make up. We've processed those feelings so they're not getting in the way. Now we have to flip it from the D to the V. What do you want in that situation? My partner doesn't show me love or affection. What would you want instead? How would that feel? What would it look like? What would it smell, taste, sound like? How often? How would you be able to measure that? How would you tell if it's actually been achieved or not? If you want him to show you more affection, do you want just more hugs? Are you looking for a French kiss? Do you want a massage every time you guys watch a show at night? Are you looking for a full body massage, some snuggles at night on the couch? How often? How many? In what context? Get specific. Now that we have your vision, we've got to take the first step, that F in the formula for change, which is asking for help. So you've cleaned up your side of the street, identified dissatisfaction, eliminated the narratives and stories we make up, processing your own negative emotions and feelings about the situation, gaining clarity on what it is that you want. Now we take the first step in asking for support. So you want them to show you more love and affection? Great. How would you communicate that need? Oftentimes in relationship, the first step for the formula for change is to communicate your wants and needs to that person. Without all the stories and the negative emotions, your partner can now hear you and understand what you want or need. They will be more willing to support you in that specific way you're recommending. So let's talk about how to ask for help. Use phrases like would you or will you over can you or could you. A lot of times for men, can or could implies capacity or ability. If we were at the gym exercising, I'd be like, hey, Bob, you think you could lift that 300-pound dumbbell with your pinky? He'd probably be like, yeah, I probably can. But he's not going to necessarily race over there and be like, yeah, see, look at that. Could or can implies ability. Hey, you think you could switch the clothes over sometime if you're not too busy today? I could probably do that. But it doesn't necessarily move us into action. Whereas would you please or will you please signifies the action center of the brain. Also, ask for the behavior or the change that you want to see made. Don't ask for them what not to do. I want to share something with you, but here's the thing. I don't want you to picture what I'm about to say. So do not think of a blue truck. Don't think of it. Don't think of a blue truck coming out of a car wash on a hot summer day. Do not visualize those little droplets of water still on the truck gleaming in the sun. Don't think of that. Of course, your brain had to picture that first in order to not think about it. So if you tell your partner what not to do, essentially you're telling them that they should do the thing you don't want them to do. So communicate the clarity of your vision to them. Here's a great example as far as house cleaning. Let's say you're trying to ask your partner to contribute more with household participation. You wouldn't just ask them to, pick up more around the house or, if you see something needs to be done, just, do it. Instead, ask for specifics. Are there some chores that you would like them to contribute to? Maybe you need help with dishes. Maybe you would like them to take out the trash on a regular basis. Maybe you need help with folding the clothes. Be specific. Now, it's not necessary to back up your request with blame or criticism. You don't need to point out all the times that they have failed in the past. We're asking for a behavior change moving forward. Making a request with negative emotions or criticisms or judgments is just going to put your partner in that fight or flight mode. Make sure you deal with all that beforehand. State your request that it's something that you want to work on as well. An example, let's say you're trying to ask her to just listen better and stop interrupting you. So you want her to be an active listener, letting you finish your sentences. Great. Now, would you want to do that to her if you're asking her to do that for you? Of course. So state that, hey, this is something I want to work on too. Pair your request with phrases like, would you be open to? Can we agree? Does that work for you? This kind of gets us out of that Hitler parent-child relationship where we're saying, get the laundry done. Cut out the bullshit. Do this or else I'm leaving you. And more of a collaborative approach of, hey, would you be willing to help me clean the house a little bit more? Yeah, would you please be responsible for the laundry or the dishes? Or, hey, would this work for you if you'd be open to XYZ? Yeah, would you please? Would that work for you? Can we agree that we're going to do it this way, instead of that way? Mention how it would positively affect your life if they showed you that support in this specific way. Man, you could just take over the laundry and the dishes. That would just lighten so much off my load. Wow. If you would show me more love and a physical affection, more hugs and kisses, that would just make my day. Now, we talked about D, V, F. Now we got to go to resistance. In the relationship example, resistance might suggest don't ask because you're implying vulnerability. It is true. Vulnerability is a good thing in a healthy relationship. Oftentimes, for men, we want our partners to feel physically vulnerable to us in the bedroom. But if they're not able to be emotionally vulnerable with us, they're not going to be able to be physically vulnerable. Resistance might try and get us out of taking that first step by saying, hey, if you ask for what you want or need, you might get rejected. You might get disappointed. They might respond in defensiveness. True, there are those risks. Resistance might also say, it's just easier to do it yourself. Don't worry about it. Resistance also might try and convince you to deny your need or your preference by eliminating so you can eliminate the risk of even asking. True. But again, if you're experiencing a little resistance in this area, good sign. You've got to remember your vision. Imagine having that end goal, that vision accomplished, getting that need or want met in the relationship. How would it feel? What if your partner was contributing more to the household, taking some more off your load? What if he was giving you lots of hugs and kisses and helping you fill up that physical love tank that you have of physical touch and affection? Going back to our weight loss goal, what if you lost that 30 pounds? You walked into the doctor's office with a new blood test and they said, wow, really shaped up. You got your stuff together. You're on the right path. What if you were that entrepreneur whose business is growing and the numbers are tracking, things are getting better? How would that feel? How would it feel if you experienced your emotional needs getting met in a relationship with a significant other, feeling more supported? You gotta remember your vision, which will help you push past that resistance to change. So, at the heart of every meaningful change, whether you're in a personal life, career, relationship, it's an ability to recognize what's not working, envision what you truly want, and take that crucial step forward. The formula for change isn't just a theory, it's a tool that can empower you to break free from old patterns and build the life and the relationship you desire. So ask yourself, what's one area in your life that you've been tolerating dissatisfaction in? Where have you settled for frustration instead of taking action? Ask yourself, what's one area in your relationship where you've been tolerating dissatisfaction in? How has your partner been intentionally or unintentionally stepping on your toes? Maybe they aren't showing you love in accordance to your love language. Or perhaps they have a bad habit that's negatively impacting your life. Identify it. Flip over your focus to seeing what you want instead, and take the first step to communicating those wants and needs to that person and watch your connection strengthen. Resistance always going to be there. It's a sign you're stepping out of your comfort zone. But remember, nothing changes if nothing changes. So I highly recommend you apply this relationship tool with your health and fitness, at your job or career, and in your relationship with your significant other. If you'd like to book a complimentary clarity session with me to gain further understanding of how to apply this principle in your life specifically, click the link below and choose a time that works best for you. Also, if you receive value from this video, I would really appreciate you hitting that like button and subscribe to my channel. And if you've been implementing this formula for change in your life, in your relationships, I love to hear about those experiences in the comment section below. Let's stay connected through utilizing this formula for change. By allowing our partner an opportunity to better support us through taking that first step, asking for what we want and need, we can ensure resentment or bitterness will not sever our connection. Change isn't a mystery, it's a formula. The only question is, will you use it?